Good morning, everybody. It's about 2:35. I'm going to talk about slavery this morning. I guess. Take my medicine first. You guys have to pay attention. I got a record here. Let me show you. One thing about the Puritans, Quakers, Amish, whatever you want to call us, they kept records. I printed all this off, typed it all out. Yeah, I used to type 100 years ago with a little electric typewriter. And I read all the Bibles that everybody had in my family and all the records they had, and I got it printed out. Typed out and printed out. This goes back quite a few years. I'm sitting over there getting my medicine. So I know what I'm talking about. We'll start this in Holland, Norway, Sweden, up in there. Actually, I don't know, 4 or 5 cousins to the Queen or some shit. But anyway, my story's going to be on slavery. They came to America. They left Holland, Norway, Sweden, up in there, Finland, and went to England. They actually left in 450 BC from up in there and went over to England. But anyway, they left again, the relatives did, and went to England. And during the religious persecution of England, Protestants, Catholics, and so on and so forth, poor Puritans didn't have a damn chance. Amish, Quakers, whatever you want to call them. So they fled to America in 1600. At least my relatives did. So they came over here, and no, they didn't own slaves. But they did help on the Underground Railroad. They kept a record. I got a record of every slave that they helped. It's in this book. It's in all these papers. Every slave that they helped, they probably helped that slave that started the Underground Railroad. But it was actually started by the Puritans, Amish, Quakers, whatever you want to call it. And they kept a record of every slave they helped to get freedom. And like I said, this is way back there. But the black people are African Americans, or whatever you want to call them. They need to appreciate the white people, the Quakers, Amish, Puritans, people that worked on the Underground Railroad. Without them, they would never have freedom. Without the 620,000 that died to give them freedom, they would have never had it. Honest God truth. They still be having a rebellion today. As their freedom goes, and much of it is the God, is the world actually fair? Hell no. But no, my ancestors, they didn't believe in slavery. They never believed in slavery. And don't believe in it to this day. But I was reading some of the old paperwork here. Let's see here. I can put that. I think I messed up. I think I did. No, I didn't. Better keep my mind straight while I'm doing it here. Hang on. Oh. I gotta take my heart medication. Made them half as the dose, so I gotta take 2 tablets. And now, American pain pill, maybe that'll make it feel better. I doubt that shit. But anyway, let me take this shit so I won't remember. Choked to death on it. description of it. Yeah, it's got who married who and everything else. What they own, it's got their wheels in here, it's got everything. Yeah, it's got everything you can imagine. Every one of my ancestors in this, all this paperwork. Let's see what's in this book. Yeah, here we go. That will be loud enough. It's got whoever married who, and how many different ways they spelled it. Some of this paperwork, old and snot. Well, let's see, they spelled it 14 different ways. Guess so. Says it on that paper right there. They came over on the ship Jonah a few years ago. There's only 5,000 of us left over here. That's all we got. 5,000 of us. That's what it says. First generation 1, second generation 2 to 6. Blah, blah, blah. Seventh generation 412. Ninth generation, I'm just skipping down through here, 2001. 11th generation, 4200. And now the 13th generation, which, hey, that's me. 4,901. I must be the one. Anyway, this paperwork tells of the Underground Railroad, how many people they saved and sent on their way north. Tells if they gave a name like John and his wife. It tells all this crap. So they're, like I said, the white people, some of them was bad people. Not all of them were bad. Here's one that was born on the road. Yeah. Why the hell did they put barn naked? Well, hell, I'm sure they didn't have a damn thing. Weird. Second generation. Third generation is my ancestors here. James. Sienna. Like I said, they never owned slaves. They helped slaves on the Underground Railroad. Told about the surroundings. Here's Charles. Anyway, it goes all the way down to my grandsons, my great-grandsons. I put them in here. But like I said, I'll put all this back together before I lose it. Yes, black lives does matter, but life in general matters. Oops, I better get this right. I got that in this piece of paper. No, that's in this piece of paper. Oh, that's one I had. Yeah, it's in this one. But like I said, old paperwork and old records. The Puritans were good about keeping them. My wife was sick. I didn't have nothing to do for about 12 and a half years. It took to put all that crap together. And let me see. They came over in the 1600s on a ship Jonah, landed in Boston, up by New York way. They went to Pennsylvania. Of course, you know where the Pennsylvania Dutch ended up. And like I said, they helped on the Underground Railroad. Just plain and simple. They kept a record of every slave they helped. So if anybody came through their farm or whatever, they had a record of it. They're good with keeping records. There's a lot of religious groups kept records. Let's see. I think the National Archives for the Ancestry is in Salt Lake City. I think they're the what do they call them people? Oh, Mormons. Yeah, they kept good records too. Religious leaders kept good records. My ancestors kept good records. That's who they knew they had to, because hell, they'd be marrying their own damn cousin, their own damn kids if they wasn't careful. So they kept a record of who married who and everything else, so they wouldn't be marrying any relatives. Tell you how many kids they had. 1780, it says on here. New York, 1738. Westchester County, New York. Tells you everything that went through. Yeah, my ancestors worked on the Underground Railroad. They helped slaves get from the south to the north. Right up through Pennsylvania and right on into freedom. I had relatives as far south as Arkansas. Yeah. There's Puritans, Quakers all the way down to Arkansas. And Arkansas was a slave state. So they helped them on the Underground Railroad get all the way through. And actually, before, they showed them even how they got into Canada in them papers. Right on through New York. Walked across some kind of damn bridge or some shit. But the Underground Railroad, the white people, the northern people, died fighting the Civil War with 620 white people that had tried to free the black Americans. We were all Americans by then. It's been a rough road for a lot of nationalities. My ancestry had it rough. I'm sure the black people had it rough. American Indians, oh hell, they really got screwed. Usually, like I said, history is wrote by the victors. But there's always a little bit of paperwork, stuff that comes out 100 years later, 200 years later. In this case, it was from the 1600s. A little paperwork comes out. Mary Bishop. Now, she worked on the Underground Railroad. Bishop. 1851. Mind you. Read it right through the paper right here. 1835 to 1851. It's interesting to read, that's all I can say. But since I've typed it all out and read and got it all printed up and everything else a few years ago, it was interesting to read. But I thought I'd mention that. It's been rough on all Americans. Not only the black Americans, the white Americans, and the American Native Indians. The indigenous people that were already over here. But I just thought I'd mention that. And I can prove it. It's in this paperwork. Who married who and what they did and their wills and the slaves that they helped get north and all that stuff's in this paperwork. Which is, a dying history anymore. I made it up for my grandsons far back as they could go. I went from 450 BC, from when they fled to Germania, up in that area, Holland always. When Caesar went up there, they fled to England, 450 BC. Of course, they still had relatives up there in Holland. And the Dutch. And they fled again England because of religious persecution came to America. And I guess they're still being persecuted. Ain't much of them left. Actually, there's no Amish in Europe no more. That you fight. They're all mostly in America or Canada. Well, gotta let you go. There's some in South America, I heard. But that's a different chapter. It ain't in my book. Told you where they lived and died. This one died in Stanford. This one here died in Sutton County. September the 17th, 1784. Died at 1810 in Stanford. Got all the records of them. That's one thing I got. Well, I better let you go. But I thought I would give you that this morning. Interesting. We didn't get a chance yesterday to go to the Harbor Freight. We're going today. So we'll see. Tell my son, he told me to wake him up about 6 o'clock. That's 3 hours from now. I've got my medicine out of the way, so that won't slow us down. I gotta let your pups back in. Talk to you guys later. Have a great evening, or great morning now. Talk to you later.